This is the Toshiba PDR M25 digital camera. Here at OSMVTXReviews.com, this is actually my first digital camera I ever owned. This was way back in the early 2000s. It's going to turn off in a sec because of battery conservation. But this is a really early device, but it still has a full, of course, color LCD display. So it's not that old, I guess, but in a way it is old because it has a lot of old technology in it. But that might not be a bad thing. The camera quality on this is quite respectable. The quality of the shots is quite good, even for a really low resolution today's standards of only 2.2 megahertz, 2.2 megapixels. Can you imagine that? But it still takes stuff well because the optics are well designed, it's well protected, and it's magnified. And it's really precision made because back in the day, this cost a lot of money, and a lot of ancient stuff does, but they're all well made. They're created out of precision stuff. They're big and bulky, and that's true, but it has a lot of technology in it that's so relevant, like LCD color displays. It just looks like a pretty fancy camera on today's standards because of its size, but really it's not. It doesn't even have a closing self-enclosured lens protector. It does come with this nice lanyard, though, to protect it. It says Toshiba. It's fairly nice and it's easy to take on and off, which is a good feature. As with all older models, we do have an optical viewfinder, which is an actual one located below the LCD display. In my opinion, this is still a better design than just traditionally. I think this is a lot better, this hybrid design of having both of best worlds, the LCD representing the 21st century and having better technology and just viewing stuff on the screen. But when I'm viewfinding something, I don't just want to use the screen. Like in today's standards, I know the screens are massive. You have 3-inch LCDs on your cameras and they're touch screens and all that crazy things. But when it really comes down to it, in my opinion, I still really am looking at something that I can look out of traditionally and really have still shots. When I'm looking through that viewpiece, I can know for sure what I'm looking at and then really stably take a camera. This is still the professional way really to take shots with professional cameras. But that's that. We have both of these. We have a delete button, a 4-way toggle, as well as an OK by pressing it down. We have a zoom key, an on-off mechanical switch on the sides, which is cool. And on the top, we have another screen. This is a monochrome display that actually tells you the settings, if the flash is on, if you're on a night portrait mode, if your red eye correction is on, if your flash is on, if you're in macro or micro or middle-sized views, if you're in self-timer mode, if you're in speaker on and off. It's easy to navigate, it's easy to use, but it's cool, and it's just PDR M25 series. It's interesting that you have like one way of seeing things, another way of seeing things, and then another way of seeing some of your data. So we've got 3 screens. A lot of basic cameras with just film, of course, there's just your viewfinder, and of course you have your top LCD monochrome display. This has actually 3, which is interesting as well. We've got a physical jog dial that we see on most cameras these days that takes you through your play buttons to play back your shots and your mode for your autofocus and your settings. There's no video capture, there's no microphone here. There's a little dot there. 2-stage camera shutter kiosk on the top. It's very bulky. On the left-hand side, we will find a rubber cap removing the charging and the digital selections and the digital DV ports and the video cable out. We also have on the other side, instead of SD card, we have smart media cards. I don't know if any of you guys still remember these, but these are the ancient SD cards back in the day. They're absolutely huge, but that said, they are absolutely thin. I don't know if it's picked up. This is as thin as a piece of paper, which is dangerously thin, I think, in my opinion, because it's slicingly thin, but it's just really bendable and large. This was a SanDisk card. This is a 1 to 28 megabytes. Can you imagine? This is huge, but this is so thin. It's an interesting way. I'm so glad that we have SD cards these days. But still, it slides in. It works really well. It's called Smart Media. On the bottom, we, of course, have our tripod, and in addition, we have the battery compartment. And wow, it took 4 AA batteries, and the battery life was not good at all, especially if you use flash a lot in nighttime settings. Even though the pictures are great, it drains battery really fast, and it's gold-plated connections, but that's one of the reasons for its bulk. It's for so many batteries. Now, if we turn it on, this is 3 times optical zoom, and it just turned on, I think. Yes, we just turned it on for a second there. And the power LED will turn on, and we'll be on. So directly it'll tell you that we have 242 more pictures to be taken on our card. You can actually see what's being viewfined there, because our flash isn't that great, and we can zoom in. to our moving box logo, but you can definitely zoom in and out there, and it still works fairly well, which is kind of impressive. Now the screen, of course, on this isn't displayed that well, but you can actually look through the actual mechanical viewfinder and see things a lot better, a lot clearer, which is nice as well. As you can see, the lens is just up there, and it's exposed, and it's really slow at zooming in and out, but it still does the job, which is nice as well. So if we want to take a shot of the Boxer logo, and it shows that our battery life is actually full for once because we just put in new batteries, let's just take this shot. There you go. We just took the picture. And now let's go see the picture. It tells us that we have how many more pictures left and some basic information or card information. If we press it to playback, this is the image that we took. Now this camera right now I'm using to shoot this video is actually really bad, but wow, I'm very impressed with this shot. For a 2.2 megapixel camera, everything is just really sharp. This is being oversaturated. I don't know what's happening, but this is actually really impressive. All the details are really nice. I know you can't see it on this actually video camera, but the blacks and the colors are all really saturated. The flash is great. It shows up in a lot of colors, so it's impressive flash technology, and it's impressive resolution for such a basic and early model camera. And the screen actually picks this up quite well. I don't know what's happening with this camera at the moment. It's not a great camera, but very impressive. Overall, I'm impressed. So it's a great camera, which is surprising. In this day and age, if we were to actually tell somebody, oh, I'm using a 2.2 megapixel camera, especially if you go out and you buy a 2.2 megapixel camera in today's standards, something maybe imported from China, or if you get something from your cell phone, a 2.2 or a 1.3 megapixel camera is going to give you the absolute atrocious pictures and shots. What's impressive is that even back then, 2.2 megapixels doesn't really just stand for it all. This is a greatest case of showing where a low resolution in terms of pixels can still give you a really impressive image quality, selection, and a great usage. Now the PDR M25 is really a pioneer in terms of combining a lot of technology, a lot of screens, and in a really bulky size. And I'm so happy and so glad that we're combining things into such a smaller footprint. But still, it's a fairly nice look at how our ancestor, in terms of picture quality, is still very decent, and it's surprising in that manner. But it's so cool to look at how far we've gone in terms of technology and revolution, and how far we've gone in terms of pixels as well. So that's been the Toshiba PDR M25 series digital camera. Thanks for watching here at OS and VTX Reviews.com.